Between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning, a dark, leaden-colored mass is creeping over the sky towards the sun. Red zigzags of lightning gleam here and there across it. There is a sound of far-away rumbling. A warm wind frolics over the grass, bends the trees, and stirs up the dust. In a minute, there will be a spurt of May rain, and a real storm will begin. Fiocla, a little girl of 6, is running through the village looking for Terenti the cobbler. The white-haired, barefoot child is pale. Her eyes are wide open. Her lips are trembling.
Uncle, where is Terenti?
She asks everyone she meets. No one answers. They are all preoccupied with the approaching storm and take refuge in their huts. At last, she meets Silanti Silich, the sacristan, Terenti's friend. He is coming along, staggering from the wind.
Uncle, where is Terenti?
At the kitchen gardens, answers Silanti. The girl runs behind the huts to the kitchen gardens and there finds Terenti, the tall old man with a thin, pock-marked face, very long legs and bare feet, dressed in a woman's tattered jacket, standing near the vegetable plots, looking with drowsy eyes at the dark storm cloud. On his long, crane-like legs, he sways in the wind like a starling coat.
Uncle Terenti!
The white-headed girl addresses him.
Uncle, darling.
Terenti bends down to Fiocla, and his grim face is overspread with a smile, such as come into people's faces when they look at something little, foolish and absurd, but warmly loved. "Ah, Fiocla," he says tenderly. "Where have you come from?"
Uncle Terenti?
says Fiocla, with a sob, tugging at the lapel of the cobbler's coat.
Brother Danilka has had an accident. Come along.
"Oh, what sort of accident? Oh, what thunder! Holy, holy, holy! What sort of accident?"
In the Count's corpse, Danilka stuck his hand into a hole in the tree, and he can't get it out. Come along, Uncle. Do be kind and pull his hand out.
How was it he put his hand in? What for?
He wanted to get a cuckoo's egg out of the hole for me.
The day has hardly begun and already you are in trouble. Terenti shook his head. Oh, well, what am I to do with you now? I must come. I must. Come, little child. Terenti comes out of the kitchen garden and, lifting high his long legs, begins striding down the village street. He walks quickly without stopping. Fiocla can hardly keep up with him. They come out of the village and turn along the dusty road towards the Count's corpse that lies dark blue in the distance. It is about a mile and a half away. The clouds have by now covered the sun, and soon afterwards there is not a speck of blue left in the sky. It grows dark. The first raindrops, big and heavy, like dark dots on the dusty road. A big drop falls on Fiocla's cheek and glides like a tear down her chin. The rain has begun, mutters the cobbler, kicking up the dust with his bare, bony feet. That's fine, Fiocla, old girl. The grass and the trees are fed by the rain, as we are by bread. And as for the thunder, don't you be frightened. Why should it harm a little thing like you? As soon as the rain begins, the wind drops. The only sound is the patter of rain dropping like fine shots on the young rye and the parched road. We shall get soaked, Fiocla, mutters Terenti. There won't be a dry spot left on us. Oh, my girl, it's run down my neck. But don't be frightened, silly. The grass will be dry again. The earth will be dry again, and we shall be dry again. There is the same sun for us all. A flash of lightning, some 14 feet long, gleams above their head. There is a loud peal of thunder, and it seems to Fiocla that something big, heavy, and round is rolling over the sky and tearing it open exactly over her head.
Holy, 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 says Terenti. Don't be afraid, little girl. It's not from spite that it thunders. Terenti's and Fiokla's feet are covered with lumps of heavy wet clay. It is slippery and difficult to walk, but Terenti strides on more and more rapidly. The weak little girl is breathless and ready to drop. But at last they go into the Count's copse. The washed trees, stirred by a gust of wind, drop a perfect waterfall on them. Terenti stumbles over stumps and begins to slacken his pace. "Whereabouts is Danilka?" he asks. "Lead me to him." Fiokla leads him into a thicket, and after going a quarter of a mile, points to Danilka. Her brother, a little fellow of 8, with hair as red as ochre and a pale sickly face, stands leaning against a tree, and with his head on one side, looking sideways at the sky. In one hand he holds his shabby old cap, the other is hidden in an old lime tree. The boy is gazing at the stormy sky, and apparently not thinking of his trouble. Hearing footsteps and seeing the cobbler, he gives sickly smile, and says, "A terrible lot of thunder, Terenti. I've never heard so much thunder in all my life." "And where is your hand?" "In the hole. Pull it out, please, Terenti." The wood had broken at the edge of the hole, and jammed Danilka's hand. He could push it farther in, but could not pull it out. Terenti snaps off the broken piece, and the boy's hand, red and crushed, is released. "It is terrible how it's thundering," the boy says again, rubbing his hand. "What makes it thunder, Terenti?" "One cloud runs against the other," answers the cobbler. The party come out of the corpse and walk along the edge of it towards the darkened road. The thunder gradually abates, and its rumbling is heard far away beyond the village. "The ducks flew by here the other day, Terenti," says Danilka, still rubbing his hand. "Fiokla, would you like me to show you a nightingale's nest?" "Don't touch it, you might disturb them," says Terenti, wringing the water out of his cap. The nightingale is a singing bird. He has had a voice given him in his throat to gladden the heart of man. It's a sin to disturb it. A bright patch of blue appears in the sky. "And here are some bees," cries Danilka, pointing to the branch of a young oak tree. The drenched and chilled bees are huddled together on the branch. There are so many of them that neither bark nor leaf can be seen. Many of them are settled on one another. "That's a swarm of bees," Terenti informs them. "They were flying, looking for a home, and when the rain came down upon them, they settled. If a swarm is flying, you need only sprinkle water on them to make it settle. Now if, say, you wanted to take the swarm, you would bend the branch with them into a sack and shake it, and they all fall in." Little Fiokla suddenly frowns and rubs her neck vigorously. Her brother looks at her neck and sees a big swelling on it. Hey, laughs the cobbler. "Do you know where you got that from, Fiokla, old girl? There are Spanish flies on some tree in the wood. The rain has trickled off them, and a drop has fallen on your neck. That's what has made the swelling." The sun appears from behind the clouds and floods the wood, the fields, and the tree friends with its warm light. The dark, menacing cloud has gone far away and taken the storm with it. The air is warm and fragrant. "That herb is given when your nose bleeds," says Terenti, looking to a woolly-looking flower. "It does good." They cross the railway line, and going down from the embankment, walk towards the river. They walk not with any object, but just at random, and talk all the way. Danilka asks questions. Terenti answers them. Terenti answers all his questions, and there is no secret in nature which baffles him. He knows everything. Thus, for example, he knows the names of all the wild flowers, animals, and stones. He knows what herbs cure diseases. He has no difficulty in telling the age of a horse or a cow. Looking at the sunset, at the moon, or the birds, he can tell what sort of weather it will be next day. And indeed, it's not only Terenti who is so wise. Silanti Slich, the innkeeper, the market gardener, the shepherd, and all the villagers, generally speaking, know as much as he does. These people have learned not from books, but in the fields, in the wood, on the river bank. Their teachers have been the birds themselves when they sang to them, the sun when it left a glow of crimson behind it at setting, the very trees and wild herbs. The two of them, the cobbler and the boy, walk about the fields, talking unceasingly, and are not weary. They could wander about the world endlessly. They walk, and in their talk of the beauty of the earth, do not notice the frail little girl tripping after them. Towards midday, all three sit down on the riverbank. Danilka takes out of his bag a piece of bread, soaked and reduced to a mash, and they begin to eat. Terenti says a prayer when he has eaten the bread, then stretches himself on the sandy bank and falls asleep. While he is asleep, the boy gazes at the water, pondering He has many different things to think of. He has just seen the storm, the bees, the ants. Only towards the evening, our wanderers return to the village. The children go for the night to a deserted barn. The boy does not sleep. He gazes into the darkness, and it seems to him that he is seeing all that he has seen in the day. The storm clouds, the bright sunshine, the birds, the fish, lanky Tarenti. He longs to tell someone all that is haunting him now, but there is no one to tell. Fiokla is too little and could not understand. I'll tell Tarenti tomorrow, thinks the boy. The children fall asleep, thinking of the homeless cobbler, and in the night, Tarenti comes to them and puts bread under their heads, and no one sees his love. It is seen only by the moon, which floats in the sky and peeps caressingly through the holes in the wall of the deserted barn.